Welcome from the Things Conference, another interview. Who are you and what do you do?
I am Geoff Mulligan and I'm chairman of the LoRa Alliance.
What is the LoRa Alliance?
Well, the LoRa Alliance is a global ecosystem of companies that have come together to standardize around the LoRa WAN specification, which provides connectivity for the Internet of Things. And so we work on the specification, we work on marketing and education, and we work on certification of products.
So you're pretty much the expert on where we stand with LoRa right now. So from your point of view, where are we?
We are at the launching pad. And I think being here at the Things Network event is showing that. You look at the energy and the excitement here. LoRa, we've just published LoRaWAN 1.1, the new specification. We have a robust certification program in place where we're now certifying new products. There are 57 network operators worldwide that are deploying LoRaWAN networks. So we're now at the stage where we can tell people, you can bring it, we can build it, and it can start to deliver solutions into the IoT space.
Because you mentioned some numbers. Have you some more numbers on the adoption of LoRa worldwide now and hotspots that you see emerge?
Well, like I said, we have 57 open networks. That's not counting private networks. That's not counting one of the things. Let me explain. One of the things that makes the LoRa and LoRaWAN and LoRa Alliance unique in all of the ecosystems is we don't presuppose to understand what your business needs are. If you want to build a network, if you're a building owner and you want to put in a network and run it, or you're a vineyard and you want to run your own network, you can go out and buy the equipment and put it in yourself. If that's not your forte, if you say, I don't know anything about networks, you can get sensors and have them talk to someone else's network, a private network. Or if you say, I don't even want to do any of that, you can have KPN deliver sensors and network, and all they do is they tell you water flow within your system. So that's one of the beauties of this. So we have 537 members worldwide now that have come together to all tout the benefits and strengths of the LoRa radio technology and the LoRaWAN specification.
So it is growing pretty fast and growing even bigger. So and a lot of companies are using it now and products are being made. What are the strangest applications that you've seen so far that were using LoRa?
So strangest. I heard, I was just talking to a company in Australia. They take LoRa sensors and they put it into the stomach of cows so that they can track the movement, the moisture content, the food production through the cow, so that they can ensure that the beef that comes out is, if you've heard of Wagyu quality beef, Japanese Wagyu, they use this to monitor cows. And so I think that's sort of the funniest thing I've seen.
Yeah, because it's great to use these funny examples to see the endless possibilities you have with LoRa.
But there's absolutely real world, right? We've also I've been working with a vineyard in Northern California that they were in Northern California. They've been having a real bad drought problem, and so water is precious, and they wanted to ensure that they didn't overwater because that's not good for grapes, and you certainly can't underwater because then you get raisins. And so their idea was, how can we get just the right, and they looked at just the right amount of water. They looked at other solutions, and it was wildly expensive. They were able to put in a single LoRaWAN gateway with just some moisture sensors around. They reduced their water consumption by 30% and increased production by 20%. And that's real world. That's creating sustainability for the rest of the world.
Right. So you just launched a new version of the LoRa one. What is it, protocol or?
LoRaWAN specification is what we like to call it.
What is new in that? What is?
Yeah. So again, I think this is a testament to the strength of the alliance. We put out the 1.0 specification, and I'll admit we got it wrong. How did we know we got it wrong? Because we have operators, we have module vendors, we have all of these various service offerings within, or manufacturers within the alliance. The operators came to us and said, you guys forgot roaming. And we were like, oh mon Dieu. So we went back to the table and we said, we need to take care of this issue for our operators and for global adoption. So we went back with 1.1 and we addressed this idea of active roaming. How does a device move between one network and another, and how can the operators then exchange the data both securely, privately, and assure that a packet sent on one network will be delivered on the other. And so that was sort of the largest thing that we addressed in 1.1.
Right. So, but technology always is moving forward.
Yes.
So what is the biggest challenge do you think that LoRa is facing right now that we need to solve?
I think getting over the hump of people thinking they still need to wait to start to do deployments, right? In the past, you had to wait for an operator to come to town with some sort of IoT solution, or you needed some very complex system integrator to do all of the work for you. LoRa and LoRaWAN become egalitarian. You could put in a LoRa network and you could start to monitor your home, or you could start to monitor a victory garden in your backyard, or you could monitor your dog or you could start to do this today. And I think that people need to understand, and that's one of the beauties of this Things Network event, is people can see, you can go out, you can buy things, you can build it yourself, you can connect it to the Things Network. You don't need to wait. Do it now and start helping the planet.
That's right, but the people here are obviously already interested or
That's
involved
true.
in the industry. So how do we get the word out to all the people, all the non-believers or people that haven't heard about it? How do we get them involved?
No, that's the alliance itself is going through a transition. We spent the past couple of years working on and focused on the specifications, setting up a certification program. That's done. We can now certify products. And why is that critical? Because you need to know, if you go to store X and buy a sensor, you need to ensure that it works with the parts that you bought from other people. That's what certification does. But now we're doing a transition in the alliance, exactly what you're talking about. How can we now go out and market, proselytize, evangelize, and educate the larger industry, not so much end users. Yes, we would love end users to be running into the store demanding LoRa products or LoRaWAN products. They're not going to do that. But the folks that are building products, to say you can have a lower capex, a lower opex in putting something out, we need to do that education, and that's where we're refocusing the alliance on now.
Right.
Get that marketing and education out there.
One of the things that are people more and more afraid of or worried about, and governments as well, is things like privacy and,
Yes.
and security. So how are you dealing with that?
So understand that privacy and security are slightly different. Security is generally a technology, so that's encrypting things and such. We, from the get-go, were at the very start of the design of the LoRaWAN specification, wanted to ensure it was secure by design, not as an afterthought, but we designed security into the basic infrastructure, the DNA of the LoRaWAN specification. In fact, we were so confident, or we wanted to make sure that we went out to third parties and said, test it. You tell us what's wrong. They came back and said, there's nothing wrong, but you should tweak these things. That was one of the other things that we did in 1.1, was we took things that were optional before and made them mandatory to ensure the security. Now, privacy, on the other hand, is how do you take that security and enforce privacy policies? If I'm a homeowner and I only want my data to be sent to my local utility and I don't want them to resell that, that becomes now a new issue. And that's at a little bit higher, they talk about networking layer 1 through 7. Well, there's sort of this layer 8, and that's this privacy layer. Security is down in layer 5 or so. The session layer. But, and I'm getting too technical, sorry. But privacy now, it's not intrinsically a part of LoRa, but because we have strong security, we can now enforce the policies that you can then, as a homeowner or a user of the LoRaWAN specification, can rely upon to deliver and keep your data secure.
Okay, but also if you talk about security, there's within making a movement of makers, etc. People are talking about security and privacy by design. So,
yes.
And you certify hardware, or at least you think about how to certify hardware. Is it part of the protocol of the certification?
It's part of the protocol of the certification to ensure that the security is done right. It's part because we are testing the specification itself. We test the security protocol. So that's So that is part of our certificate. Before you can get a LoRa WAN certified logo, we've tested all of those aspects of it. So that's critical to us, because it doesn't do us any good if we talk about security in the weakest link. If one of the parts in there isn't strong in security, then your privacy is all out the window.
True, but also there's parts that you cannot really influence. But if I make hardware that's connected into a LoRa one network, then I have to be sure. And this is a sensor, and sensor can just measure basically everything.
Right.
So how do you ensure that my sensor is also designed in a way that that it only senses that what it promises to sense?
So that's a broader question about this whole Internet of Things, and it's a very insightful question. We as the Alliance can't, at least today, enforce what you do as an end sensor. We can say, when you deliver us, the LoRaWAN network, a packet, we can ensure that from the output, the radio output of that, to the delivery to your application, it's secure. No one can change it, no one can intercept it, no one can insert new packets, right? We have confidentiality, we have integrity, and we have authentication of the packet from inception to delivery. Now, did a temp sensor capture your voice talking? We can't really, to us the data is opaque, to the operator it's opaque, so we don't know that it's a temperature or a voice, because that's what is at the application. So we do need more policies in place, and it's part of what I've done in the past is talking with governments about how can we better define privacy policies. What I'd like to see, and this isn't necessarily part of the Alliance yet, is that when a piece of data is created, there is a privacy policy attached to it at the data inception, not somewhere down the line, where then everybody can say, Johan or Geoff said that this can only be used for this period of time for this particular application or this particular use, and if somebody tries to violate that, I get notified. I can then say, yes, pay me $1,000 and you can have that data, or I can say, no, I don't want that data to go out there. We're not quite there yet as the industry, the Internet of Things industry yet.
One last question. Some people already mentioned it during previous interviews when I asked what was needed or where in the whole LoRa space, and they said we need, and people are working on it, but over-the-air updates. Where are we at?
We finished the specification. We're doing the testing. In fact, we did a demonstration of that in Philadelphia this last summer. We did a demonstration of firmware over the update, right? Because no one gets code right, even great coders. Mark Zuckerberg didn't get the code right the first time, right? So firmware over the air updates are critical because, as in one of the sessions someone mentioned, if you have to roll a truck to go out and touch a piece of hardware, you've lost all the return on investment for that piece of hardware. So doing it over the air. But what was critical for us to figure out was, because again, you think about they're very tiny, small radio devices, and we don't have a lot of bandwidth. We want to ensure efficiency on that. So we came up with a way to multicast, so you can send one packet from the head end and be received by thousands or hundreds of thousands of nodes to update them all at once. And then we can do that very slowly to ensure that we don't monopolize the bandwidth and that we don't burn up their batteries. So we're working on that. We will be publishing how to do the specifications on that over the next month or two.
All right. So next year you will be back, and
yes,
there will be over-the-air updates and.
Absolutely, we'll have over-the-air updates. We're going to have other new features, and maybe we'll even look at how we might answer the better answer the question about privacy.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. There's a lot of other interviews on the YouTube channel, and watch them all, and we will be recording more.